In this video, I'm going to tell you how moving in with my in-laws at 38 years old completely changed my life. Hey everyone, welcome back. So we've been through a bunch of these things. I gave you a lot of red flags in the last video to think about when you're at a job that you don't want to be in and how it could really adversely affect your livelihood and just crush your soul. Now, you would think moving in with your in-laws would crush your soul, but I want to tell you a quick story about why I did that. I ended up quitting my job at Amazon after a couple years. I had just turned into a completely different person. The money wasn't worth it. Nothing about it was worth it. And the only option we came up with, and this is partly my wife's idea, was to move in with her parents. We went from a big house in Austin, Texas into a basement in random ass Virginia, okay? The country. I'm talking one stoplight. I'm talking maybe 3,000 people in the town or the city or whatever you want to call it. And I moved my wife, my daughter, and my dog into their basement. And I had no plan, like no plan whatsoever. But let me tell you a couple things that I felt from this. The first thing you need to know is that I played every scenario out in my head of what the narrative could be like. A retired Marine who worked at Amazon, who has an MBA, could look like a complete and total failure. Like living with your in-laws or your parents, it doesn't matter. And I played these scenarios out, how it might sound, how people might think. And for one of the first times in my life, I was completely unfazed. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because there will very likely be a part of you where you make that kind of U-turn, you flip a bitch and you make a U-turn in your life and you completely take ownership of what you want, how you want it, and are willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And when you get to that place, you're gonna find that everything that you're imagining about other people thinking or saying, it just doesn't affect you at all. And that was a huge surprise to me. So what did I need? I needed to replace my income. I needed this and that. I mean, everything about my lifestyle had completely changed, but I actually felt in my mind that's not what I needed. What I needed was this is gonna sound funny, to sit with myself. This sounded like some complete and utter bullshit when I heard people talk about this, you know, time to reflect, time to decompress and all these other things. But I needed to sit with myself. I needed to understand who I was, what I wanted. I now knew what I didn't want, and I needed to figure out the path forward. Now, I don't recommend this. I don't recommend not having a plan. I'm very fortunate, but I knew no matter what I landed on that I was going to succeed because I wasn't going to give up, because now I was completely in the driver's seat of my own life. Now, let me tell you, that phrase came from Claude Silver. She's a chief heart officer at VaynerMedia. When I discovered Gary Vee, probably the last few months I was at Amazon, there's this one rant of his, and I hated him at first, by the way. I was like, who is this dude? There's this one rant of his that he did in front of a dumpster in Austin. I'll put it right here. And it's an epic rant. And because it was in Austin and because I felt like he was talking to me, I would listen to it on the way to work all the freaking time, like all the time. So because I was like completely enamored with this guy, I'm like, whoa, like no one's talking like this. I decided to look at the people around him on LinkedIn and I came across Claude. I introduced myself in the longest message ever, and then we became friends, and she was amazing. I'll never forget all the times we talked, her munching on her salad, squeezing in time to talk to me, even though I was a complete stranger, and telling me that I was in the driver's seat of my life. This is all while I was bitching and freaking moaning about a job that I was choosing to stay at. So I was in the driver's seat. And because of that, I was able to sit with myself and feel comfortable about it. And productivity and progress means everything to me, just like it probably does to you. But there is something to be said about the stillness of a new situation that many people would never embark on, including moving in with your freaking in-laws. Are you ever speeding and you pass a cop and you're like, oh shit, and you take your foot off the gas? Maybe you turn the radio down, looking in your rear view, and you're just like, oh my God, you drop your phone into your lap if you were texting or doing something ridiculous, and then he doesn't come. There's this sense of relief, and you're just like, oh, I evaded that. Well, that's exactly how I felt. I felt relief, okay? This decision just gave me a roof over my head. It gave my daughter time with her grandparents who she never saw. It gave me an opportunity to really start having a relationship with her, because when I was there at my former job, I had no relationship with her. I saw her a couple days a week. It was just nonsense. I was just so tired anyway. It didn't really matter. But when I was there, I felt relief. I could still feel it, like in the pit of my stomach now. I was just like, wow, crisis averted. Who the hell says that about a big salary, a big bonus, big options, big everything? Someone who says that is someone who was settling. And when all those things, when you looked at them in the end, meant nothing. And that relief I was feeling was because I was now inward. I was now going internal, and now I was on a path to discovery. And look, I never used to talk like this. I don't talk like this often, but it's something you should know. That relief turns into work, and that work is discovery. So look, let's wrap up. The 2 months I planned on being there turned out to be 6 months, and it got kind of crazy. I certainly wore out my welcome. That's normal, okay? Like, it's really hard. The fact that we lasted that long was good, but there were so many benefits that came out of it, including starting my podcast, starting my business, and all that. And I'll cover that in the next video. But all I want you to know is the 2 steps back that feel like 10 steps back is literally like jumping on a fucking trampoline, because you are gonna soar to places that you didn't know existed, to points of clarity. And all this is a progressive uncovering, okay? Like, I did not know it was gonna end up like this. That's why I'm sharing it with you, because I want you to know that no matter how bad or ugly it looks or feels, there are benefits that are just not quantifiable, okay? These are the things that all the people around you would never do because they're too afraid. And this, I don't want to say it takes courage, but there's certainly an amount of courage that goes into this. And if you are able to relieve yourself of the burdens that you've inflicted, self-inflicted, and you are able to make tough decisions like this, and you have options, or you make rash decisions that other people might find unpopular, you're probably on the right track. See you in the next video.